So exercise 15 out of 12.1, refer to data set 28 on the chocolate chip cookies in Appendix B and use the counts of chocolate chips for the 3 different types of Chips Ahoy cookies. Use a 0.05 significance level to test the claim that the 3 different types of Chips Ahoy cookies have the same mean number of chocolate chips. And then they ask, do the reduced fat Chips Ahoy appear to have fewer chocolate chips? Well, I'm assuming they mean fewer compared to the other 2 types there. There's the reduced fat, there's the chewy, then there's the regular, and I only know that because I've been working with this example for like 5 years. So, run through our normal process, our claim, all the means are equal, our opposite or negation, not all means are equal. So we can come over here. So we got the mean of the regular equals the mean of the chewy equals the mean of the reduced fat, and our alternate at least one mean is different. And again, the mean that we're talking about is the population mean, because I doubt all 3 sample means are going to be the same. Our alpha here is 0.05, so we will reject null hypothesis if the p-value is less than or equal to that 0.05. And now we're ready to head into StatDisk to open up our data set and go ahead and run the analysis of variance test on it. So let's get rid of this, figure that out. So this was the data set on 28 on chocolate chip cookies, and we're interested in the first 3 columns, the Chips Ahoy. Now we can't see how it's listed there, so let's go analysis, one-way analysis of variance. And now we can kind of see that it's regular, chewy, reduced fat in the first 3 columns. There's our evaluate. Let's see, our significance level is what we need it to be. And our test statistic here is 28.167. Our p-value is basically 0. If we hit plot, what we see is that our test statistic is well off in the tail. So we're going to end up rejecting the null, which means at least one of these is different from the other. Now, which one it is, we're going to have to come back and figure out. So our test statistic is 28.167. And our p-value is basically zeros, and zeros are definitely less than 0.05. So we reject the null hypothesis, which means we have the evidence. And we starred the R, so we have the evidence to reject the claim that I'm gonna cheat a little bit here. I'm being naughty and paraphrasing the claim. So we have sufficient evidence to reject the claim that the population mean numbers of chips are the same. So one of these population mean numbers of chips is different from the other two. It's possible that all three are different from each other. So we want to take a look to see, can we say that the Chips Ahoy, the number of chips in the Chips Ahoy reduced fat is any different from the others, or is maybe it's one of the other ones that's different from the rest. So coming back to StatDisk here, I'm going to go ahead and do a box plot. So again, we just need the box plot of the first three, and we're only going to look at the box part of the box plot. And where was that second one chewy?
I always have to do exactly what you're doing. I always have to go in and look.
The second one was chewy, okay. So the third one is the reduced fat. So what we see with 2 and 3, the chewy and the reduced fat, those boxes overlap by quite a bit, and the sample medians of each of these are the same. So looking at 2 and 3, those two don't appear to be different from each other. And if we were to do the confidence intervals, we'd see that their two confidence intervals overlap quite a bit as well. The one that is different is the regular Chips Ahoy. And we do see that the third box tops out where the top box begins there. But keep in mind, this is the most informal method. If we were to go ahead and take a look at the confidence intervals for those two columns, a more formal method, what we would see here is that these are far from overlapping. The reduced fat ends under 21 and the regular begins over 23 for the confidence intervals of the mean. So there's definitely a gap between those. So what we see when we explore these other two, and as long as I brought up this, let me bring up the middle one so we can see how much those two overlap. So there is the chewy and the reduced fat, and they're both beginning in the low 18s and they're both ending in the 20s. So they have the entirety of the 19s overlapping, as well as more than half of the 18 overlapping. So we can't say that the mean number of chips is different between the reduced fat and the chewy. The only thing that we can say from looking at this is that the reduced fat, let's see, do the reduced fat Chips Ahoy cookies appear to have fewer chocolate chips? Only versus the regular Chips Ahoy. We can't say that compared to the chewy.